Hi guys, I'm Peter, and this is Dirty Supper. I started out as a supper club. So at my house, my girlfriend has a ceramic studio, so Dirty Hands. So all the ceramics here are made by Dirty Hands. But the studio is actually at our house. So we have a small rooftop. Our house was the Sunday session spot for all my friends. And then basically our friends would just say, you need to start selling, I guess, like doing a supper club. So we started a supper club with people that would do the ceramic classes, and then we just started with barbecues on our rooftop, and then we progressed into the pop-ups, and then we had a 10-seat supper club, and then now it's become this. Everything's better dirty. I don't know, it was just kind of like a natural progression with Dirty Hands and then Dirty Supper. It kind of just seemed like it fit, and my food isn't pretty. My way of complimenting things is calling it dirty and everything else. So the style of food that I want to do is like a dirtier style of food where it's a bit more raw, I guess. Yeah, I mean, the only reason why I do this is because I like to do it. I was lucky enough to live in the UK. I ran a restaurant called Pit Cube, which was a beast of a place, and we reared our own pigs in Cornwall. We only used small farmers down from Cornwall. Everything came in whole, and that's kind of where I fell in love with this. As a chef, it makes you be a little bit more, I don't want to say more creative, because chefs are creative in their own different ways. But for me, this really challenges me every time, especially when we have our Just for Today menu. I try and change that every time we get a whole animal in. I try and create a new dish. I don't want to just keep going back to what I know. So to get in a whole animal, it forces you to think outside the box a little bit. I've actually thought about it a fair bit lately, because people have asked me a lot. And it's quite funny that when I look back, you know, I've been a chef for 22 years now, so I'm an old man. But obviously being from Australia, it's a bit different. We can always get whole animals. So I've kind of always done it. I've always been fascinated with it. It was just when I moved to London that like I really deep dived into it. And ever since I kind of took that deep dive into what we're doing, there's something more satisfying about getting in a whole lamb, or getting in a whole pig, or getting in everything whole, and seeing like where you can kind of go with that and what you can do with it and how you can sort of push yourself. Yeah, I think that's why I kind of do it. I do it because I want to. I guess it's just, I like to see how much I can push myself to do something different. So we get in everything whole but beef. So ducks we get in whole, all of our seafood. I go to the Tiong Bahru market every morning. So basically everything that comes into this restaurant is whole animals except for beef, and that's just because I don't have the space. But eventually over time I want to go the whole thing and just go whole animal. I mean, obviously getting half a cow in here or a whole cow is not that possible, but that's just where I need to sweet talk my suppliers and see if they can hold stuff for me. But even if it's just getting like a 4/4 and just breaking it down, and then my goal for here is to never have just a single cut of meat on the menu. It always rotates through. So our pork dish on the menu now, we don't actually say what cut you're getting, and it will change as we're running through the pig. So we'll break it down, and then the cut can change 3 times in the service, but that's how it works. I can't feed a whole restaurant on pork rump, or I can't feed a whole restaurant on pork belly if I don't have it. So my goal for this space is, eventually I'd like to get rid of the printed menu and just people come in and just have the unexpected and be happy with that. But in the meantime, I want to have it where I can just get in whole animals and not have to say what cut we're serving. I'd say the hardest part is the cost. Obviously in Singapore, it's not that cheap to kind of buy. But also the experience, I guess. Not a lot of people here have had the chance to kind of deal with whole animals. I've been very fortunate, obviously, being able to do it for a while now. So I think that's the hardest part. And also teaching people about the different cuts and getting them to kind of accept the different cuts when it comes to different menu stuff. For me, I think it's just been overused a lot. It's been overused, but people don't actually do it a lot of the time. It's a bit harder here in Singapore as well. There's a lot of restrictions on what we can and can't use. I can't use, lamb is a perfect example. I can't use lamb offal. You know, I can't use hearts. I can't use all of that. I can get tongue sometimes, but that's really hard for me to source. I can't use lamb heads. I can't. So a lamb just doesn't come like it is here. It's running around in a field. It's got a head. It's got a heart. It's got all the organs, right? So if I can't use that, then I'm not really doing nose to tail. I'm just using what I can get, which is the whole animal, essentially. For me, I can't justify it to myself that I call it nose to tail when I'm not doing nose to tail. So really, it's just a me thing. That it's cheaper. It's not, it's very expensive. But also, I don't know, just trying to educate the people on that an animal kind of is a whole animal. You know, people get a little bit freaked out. Like at the moment we're serving duck heads because I get a whole duck in with a head. So I serve duck heads. So people get freaked out when we put that on. It's like they think that as soon as we have meat here, that it hasn't come from an actual animal. It sounds weird, but you know, like the animal has a head. So I guess that's the biggest misconception of when we're trying to serve like the individual like cuts, and I have to admit sometimes I do try and see how far we can push to get people to kind of accept it, and also just to try and get people to step outside of their comfort zone. All the time. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have tried to do the whole animal or everything, and they seem to have not been able to succeed, or I don't want to say not succeed, but it's been a struggle for them. So I thought maybe it wouldn't work, but I'm very stubborn, and I've had people tell me that it won't work and that I can't do it. So then I just kept pushing with it. I'm not sure. I did get told yesterday that I'm now the whole animal guy, which is a bit weird. Like everyone kind of knows me for just doing the whole animals. I'm hoping that it catches on. I really do. Like, I think it's a fun way to cook and it gives people a little bit more experience. I've had people that have asked to come into the kitchen and, you know, trial and see what we're doing and just come in and stage. Obviously, my kitchen is tiny, so I can't just fit people in and everything else, but people are starting to take an interest into it, which is good. So hopefully that kind of continues on through the food industry. Hi, I'm Peter, and this is Dirty Supper.